And this is the top modern line nowadays.
Okay. I've seen them before.
Have you?
Oh yeah, people try to harass that bishop all the time. Many different ways. Play knight e2, knight f4, all types of crap.
Mm. Mhm. There's a sacrifice coming up, so be careful.
Man, I've seen the sacrifice coming from like 3 miles ahead of time. I just don't know how to stop it. This rook h3 was a really strong idea. I actually wasn't ready for that. I was gonna reroute my a6 knight and put it on e6 and all this good stuff, but this rook lift is really good.
Okay, let us share my screen for a moment. Can I?
Yeah.
Okay, can you see it now?
Yeah.
Okay, just flip the board. And Okay, bishop f5. This line, there was a time in which this line was taken seriously into account, the move c5. But after d takes c, I think white is just fine. Bishop f5 is definitely the best move, but this move h4 is the move you're going to see the most into practice nowadays. The name of this line is the Tal attack or bayonet attack, could be also known like this. H5 is definitely the only move. If you play h6, white gets the upper hand easily. So h5 is fine. And this is, you can see that bishop d3 right away is the main, we can say the most popular move, but c4 scores better for white. So if you ask me a kind of recommendation to play against the Caro-Kann defense, this is the line as white. Right? But you played, you're a d4 player, right?
Yeah, but I don't ever get
Okay.
Caro-Kann
This
from the
on
white
this
side.
line, if white knows what to do, white gets the upper hand all the time. I'm not saying the Caro-Kann is refuted, of course not. But with not without too many knowledge, white can have a comfortable position. But of course, we need to know how to play as black. Well, so let's see. Let's see. So c4, e6. Okay, that's the move. Knight c3, and here bishop b4 is not the move. So on this specific line, c4, after c4, white can take next or not. So it's important to remember that white has two choices here: c4, option A, and bishop d3, option B, right? So on this case, c4, okay, e6, that's fine. Knight c3. So now white can take or not. So usually white plays knight c3 on this position. So now the one move to take into account is d takes c4.
I thought about that. Yeah, I've played like that before also.
And then we could attack this pawn on d4. For instance, here, bishop takes c4, of course, something like this. Then knight e7, knight f3, or bishop g5, which is a move you're going to see pretty often. Then bishop e7, knight f3, for instance. And here we have the move bishop g4. This is one of the drawbacks when white plays h4. We can put a knight on, sorry, a bishop on g4. We can trade. Then we play knight e7 and then knight f5, something like that. The idea will be to attack this pawn on d4. So, which is the idea of the c4 as white? Well, to take on d5, and then we don't have the pawn break. We don't have c5 in the future. So this pawn chain, this pawn structure will be safe without the move c5 on black's disposal. So this idea, yeah, I have to repeat it because it's very important. The idea is to take, and then if you take the c pawn, then there is no c5 anymore. So it's important to be cautious here as black. Okay, so we must take on c4. Why? Because we need to have a target. At least we need to find a way to create some counterplay against this pawn on d4. And as soon as white plays something like knight f3, then we can play bishop g4, knight e7, then knight f5, and we're going to trade the bishop for the knight, and we are going to exert some pressure over the pawn on d4. If you don't do that, then white takes the pawn, and this pawn structure is gonna be quite safe for white. No pawn breaks. c5 creates a weakness on d5, so doesn't look like safe. White will play a3, and then after bishop takes, you can take with the pawn, and the bishop d3 is coming. White is much better. So important, D takes C. Let's see at the end, when we finish the analysis of this game, if I have a study to send you about this line, just for you to have a kind of backup about what to do as black. Okay.
I was gonna take with the C pawn, but then the problems are there with bishop
Yeah,
b5, a4, and
C
stuff like
takes D
that.
C takes D must be played. Why? Because if you play like this, then knight e2, knight g3 would be a plan. But I think bishop d3, bishop takes, queen takes, and then what? This pawn on h5. Yeah, at the moment h5 solved the problem, right? To stop h5 ideas, but it's really hard to castle here, kingside. Why? Because this pawn will be weak, right?
Yeah.
If you castle short, this pawn will be in trouble. So that's a problem. You see, bishop g5. This is a typical move in this position. Bishop g5. Even though this was better, knight h3, and then knight f4, and white can even castle short here. But well, let's see. Bishop g5 is a typical move as well. And now the main problem you have here is the pawn on h5 in this line. If I manage to take the pawn on h5 to create some, you see the center is how? Closed, right? My king stays safe on the center because the center is stable. Okay, so you cannot counterattack on the central files. So I have free hands to attack on the king side. So let's see here, knight f4, g6, bishop takes e7. After bishop takes e7 and rook g3, it's like you said, you're in trouble because knight takes g6 is coming. So I don't see how to prevent this.
There's nowhere to prevent that really at this point. It's just
no. What about king h8? Oh, rook takes g6. Annoying, right? So pawn takes, knight takes, and then takes the queen. So let me try. I think I have a
hold on 1 second.
Here.
I'll be right back. 1 second.
Sure.
Oh, okay, let's go.
Okay, wait a minute. Okay, let me know if you got this study. Is named Play the Tal Variation as Black on the Caro-Kann. You got it?
Yeah.
Okay, so here we have 4 chapters. I like to, when we are going to study a certain line, I would like to divide, I like to divide lines on chapters and also in divide the lines into possibilities what our opponent could do, So let's see. Chapter 1 is a game. I'm going to bring you studies with the games, and which you're going to see the main plans. In this case, is going to be the Caro-Kann, but it could be some other defense. In this case, you play the Caro-Kann as black, and we will see the typical plans here for black and also for white. Okay, so the first game, Neponiachi Nakamura. And here, let us try to, well, flip the board and put the black pieces in your side. Bishop f5, h4. So I'm starting the analysis of the Caro-Kann with this system because it's the most popular, is the one you're going to see the most. Another line you are going to see a lot here is knight f3, and then bishop e2, and then castle, then c4, pawn takes, knight d2, knight b3, something like that. That line is also very popular. Another line you're going to see a lot is the move knight c3, and if you play e6, right, then g4. This line is very popular and is really messy. Okay. You know, have you played this line before? Knight c3 and then g4?
Yeah. Yeah, this is common.
It's
I mean,
really
online it's
complicated.
common. I don't see it over the board much.
Yeah, it's more for this line is more like for blitz and bullet and you know, to attack.
Yeah.
So but this move h4 is definitely the move you're going to see nowadays the most. Another line is that is really popular is this one, knight c3. What do you play here, by the way?
I play the Tartakower. I take it and play knight f6.
Okay, very good. Okay, so let's see here. h4, h5. Okay, that's fine. c4, e6, knight c3. On this case, black played knight e7. And this move, we saw previously d takes c4, right? Instead of knight e7.
Yeah.
But knight e7 is the most
Oh,
popular move, 97. No?
right.
I think 97. White is not going to play c5 here, isn't it? No, I don't think so. White is not going to play c5.
I have seen it before. People they do try to clamp down on the c5 and hold on sometimes.
You know, this move, the idea is to wait. You know, to wait. To wait what? Well, just to see if white plays something like this, bishop d3. You know, and then we take. So we basically won a tempo. You know, if you take on c4 right away, then white takes on c4 at once, right? But
Yeah.
if white moves the bishop, let's say to d3, then we take the pawn. The knight on e7 is protecting the bishop. So we take. So now if he takes on c4, then we won a tempo, you know, because we developed the knight to e7. So we can continue with knight d7 next. So if he doesn't take and he plays pawn takes, now we can take with the knight. And now the position is different. Remember, we must take with the piece, or at least to have the chance to attack this pawn on d4. So we should prevent to take on d5 with a pawn, okay? We should be able to take on d5 by means of a piece, or to take on c4, and then white will take with the bishop. So we have the chance to attack this pawn on d4. You're getting the point? You're getting the idea?
Yeah, we're gonna play what, c5 you're saying, right? Trade and play c5, something like that.
Well, not specifically. The idea would be, well, for instance, if white plays this move is a mistake, because then we play knight before, and then we're going to c2, right?
Yeah.
So this is a mistake. First of all, we play knight e7. This is a kind of waiting move. We're waiting for what? We're waiting for bishop d3. And now we take, you see, white lost a tempo. He must take with the bishop, and then we can play something like knight d7 or knight g6, attacking the pawn on h4. And if he plays bishop g5, defending the pawn, then we play bishop e7. Bishop takes e7. We take there with the queen. And then here black is after knight f3, then we have this bishop g4 move. I like this move, bishop g4. Beating the knight and then trying to take on h4. We have excellent compensation here. every time, I think every time white plays knight f3, we can do this, no? Bishop g4. If we have the knight on e7 would be also fine. You know, we play knight d7, he plays knight f3, and we play then automatically what? Bishop g4, followed by what? By knight f5. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So the key move, knight e7, waiting. If he takes, this is a move, I think, this move is very, there's a huge possibility to be played. So we take with the knight, and this is a key move, not to take with the pawn, because if we take with the pawn, first of all, there is no c5 anymore, and the pawn on d4 is less exposed. You see, the pawn on d4 is not so easy to attack on this case. If we take with the knight and he takes, for instance, then here we take with the queen. The target continues being the pawn on d4, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Good. Every time white plays knight e2 or knight f3, automatically we play bishop
g4, yeah.
g4, pinning the knight. Remember, this is similar, this line is similar to the Slav defense, and this bishop is expendable. That means that if you get rid of this bishop, could be for a knight, could be for the bishop on f1, then you put a knight on f5, and the d4 pawn will be the target, right? So the pawn on h5 prevents something like g4 in the future. So every time he gives you the chance to pin the knight, do it, and then you clear up the f5 square for whom? For the knight. So 97 is the key move to be remembered. And then waiting to take on c4, or if he develops the knight, then we play bishop g4. In this case is Nepomniachtchi white playing as white, just for you to see that this move order and the line is sound for black. Nakamura is not a fool, right? So let's see, bishop f5, knight g3, and here bishop g6. I think could be also possible to play queen b6 or even knight d7, you know, leaving the bishop over there. We remember that this bishop is expendable, so if he takes, then we can take with the knight, right? This is another idea. Yeah. But well, in this case, Nakamura just retreated the bishop to g6, bishop g5, and this move was played, queen to b6. You know, every time your opponent plays knight f3, we play bishop g4, or knight e2, we play bishop g4. If your opponent plays bishop g5, this is another typical move. We put the queen away, you know, out of the pin. Why? Because this knight must be developed. Why? Because we need to put the bishop also on the game. So this pin is annoying. And the best place for the queen is b6. Of course, there is no doubt about this. So let's see, queen d2 and knight d7. Knight d7, fine. We just put the two knights like this, a3 and f6. And this is another move to remember, f6. You know, after this move, we are planning to castle long, right? We're planning to castle long. This move f6, well, attacks the bishop, fights for the space in the center. You see, now white must do something about this. So bishop e3 was played. If he takes, we take with the pawn. And then we have a wonderful pawn formation at the center. So after bishop e3, we can castle long. And maybe in the future, we could play something like e5, you know? Well, if white does the same thing, we just put the queen away, attacking the knight on g3. knight goes back, or if he plays bishop f4, then we play e5. This position is already very good for black. But if he retreats the knight to, let's say, to e2, then we play knight f5. I think this is a good place for the knight. The pawn on h5 prevents g4 ideas, because then we could take, and then he takes with the pawn, we take with the knight on h4, or even with the rook, but I think it's better to take with the knight. And we are planning to take on c4 and to play something like e5 next, or even knight after d takes c4, knight e5, intending to go to d3 with the knight. So this position is already very good for black. So here, let's go to chapter number 2. And this game, Ruslan, and then you have the study, you know, to check, to review. Every time you face this line as black, you can analyze the game to see what you did wrong in the opening, and then you can go back here to check, to do what to do right. I mean, how to do things right, okay? So let's see, game number 2. This game was played between Ruslan Ponomaryov against Evgeny Vareyev. And here, remember to flip the board. You're having the black pieces in your side. White played c4. Okay, this is the line I played against you. e6, knight c3. And here, instead of 97, no, here the move was 97, right? Was 97. Yeah.
Last game, yes.
On this case, black played bishop e7. I think knight d7 is slightly better for white, because white can take on d5 and then he plays bishop g5. And that position is slightly better for white. If after knight c3, knight e7 was the move, bishop g5 seems to be the best. You know, we saw this move already on the game. Nepomniachtchi Nakamura played queen b6 again. You know, every time you see bishop g5, we play queen b6, right? And after queen d2, then knight d7, and which is the pawn break, f6.
Yeah.
Okay, so here, let's say, on the previous game, white played knight e2, remember? But on this, on this case, white hasn't played the knight yet. So after something like this, I think this position is even better for black, because the bishop on on f5 then can jump to g4, and then the knight goes to f5. We can castle long, and this position seems to be quite safe for black. No worries at all. We need to remember some key moves like knight e7, like f6, like, you know, every time your opponent plays knight f3, we play bishop g4 and then knight f5. Or if he plays bishop g5, we go to b6 right away. So those are key, I can say, moves. You know, I mean, every time your opponent plays like this, I do that. You know, plays like that, I do that. Well, is more or less what happens on this line. So let's see. On the game, black played bishop e7, and this is another idea on the middle game. You know, we are taking a look at the middle game for black, and this is another idea. Bishop e7. Let's see which is the idea after bishop e7. I think the idea is to prevent, first of all, bishop g5. No, this looks normal. It's perfectly playable, and we are attacking the pawn on h4. So we are threatening to take a free pawn, right? So here white played g3. Another move that comes to mind is knight f3, no? And every time your opponent plays knight f3, we play bishop g4, right? Okay. Then queen b3, queen b6. Then we're playing kind of Slav defense with a very good position, in my opinion.
What about the g8 knight? Is it going to h6 or something?
Well, here we are threatening to take the h4 pawn, right? We are planning to take the knight, and then right? So after bishop g5, for instance, typical move played by the club players. Takes, he takes, we take, and then we take on g5 now. We have extra pawn. C takes d, e takes d. Oh no, well, take with the e pawn in this case, just to prevent knight b5 ideas. So here, black has extra pawn. Then we can play knight d7, knight e7, queen f5. I think black is fine. It's not clear how white is going to justify this pawn down. But we are taking a look at different options for black to create some kind of counterplay. So bishop g5 and bishop. Wait. Let's go to the beginning. Bishop e7, g3 was played. I think this move creates some holes on the king side, and we can use this in the future. But is definitely the best move for white. Knight f3, then we play bishop g4, and black is just fine. So let's say knight h6. I think we have h6. You know, we can develop the. If we play bishop e7, we can put the knight here. We are not afraid of bishop takes knight. You know, bishop takes knight. We can take with the rook, isn't it? Take with the rook, and we're going to castle long, no? C takes d, we take here with the e pawn. So on this case, black is fine. Let's see, bishop d3, queen d7. You don't take on d3 because this diagonal is important. So bishop queen d7, queen c2, forcing you to take. And now we can take bishop takes, queen takes, then knight a6. This position is equal. So then we can play f6, we can castle long. There's a lot of moves to play. And well, then the middle game will tell at the end who wins. But black has reasonable options to have a draw or to win. Why not? So remember, when we play as black, the main idea to have a reasonable position with equal chances and balanced options to have a draw or to win. Okay, so let's see, game number three. Game number three here. On this case, white played this move, knight e2. Looks very a mysterious move, isn't it? Which is the idea after knight e2? Well, it will play something like knight g3 and bishop e2, attacking this pawn on h5. So this idea looks really poisonous, we can say that, for black. Let's see, e6, knight g3, bishop g6, we defend the pawn, and bishop e2. So white is taking a pawn, right? So now we must do something about this, and the reaction will be there on the queen side. c5, very good move. c3, knight c6. The idea is to go to b6, you know, the typical counterplay against the white center. And knight takes h5, in this case played by Lutz Espig, Vadas. Well, this name, this I think is from Hungary or something like that. Knight takes h5. You know, white is greedy. Bishop takes, g6. I mean, black wants to take the pawn back with rook takes h4. So, for instance, if white plays a move like bishop g5, then bishop e7, right? Bishop e7, bishop takes, black takes with the queen, bishop goes away, and rook takes h4, and black is fine, right? So after this, rook takes h4 is just fine for black. This plan with knight e2, knight g3 is not so dangerous as it seems on the first sight, because we have the excellent moves c5 and knight c6 the typical counterplay against the white center. Okay, so remember this plan, 92, 93, bishop e2, we counterattack quickly on the queen side with the typical assault of on the center. And when he takes on h5, then we play g6, and we automatically take the pawn back. So no major concerns about this plan with knight e2. And game number 4, in this case, white here played with bishop d3 right away without c4. Game played between Renard Anderson and Jonathan Jedidia. Well, this game is not, these players are not known. You can see that. But at least you will see which are the plans for black and the typical moves you're going to see on the board. So let's see, bishop takes d3, queen takes, and of course, we should play e6 to just preventing e6 because white will be really pleased to do something like e6, right? So black plays e6, knight f3, queen b6 was played right here by this Jonathan. Queen b6, you know, seems to be very mysterious move. Which is the idea? Well, the idea is to prevent the bishop from going out, you know. Now the queen will be attacking the b2 pawn and the bishop will be tied defending the pawn. Yeah, so the typical response I think is c5, knight c6, right? Also this move prevents queen to b5, which seems to be like a nonsense move, but is very popular also when you play c5 to see queen b5 check. So I think this move queen b6, even though the engine doesn't like this move a lot, scores very well for black. And that we need to know the ideas. You see, well, okay, we say white could play this line with c4 or with bishop d3. If he plays with c4, then we play e6, knight e7, we wait, and then we take on c4 at some point, and we play knight e5. Okay, this would be a way to think about this line. So if white plays knight f3, we play bishop g4, then we play knight f5, and black is going to be fine, right? So if white plays bishop d3 right away, this is the main line, we trade, and then we play e6, and the move queen b6, preventing bishop g5, preventing bishop b3, because we want to play c5. And this move is unpleasant.
You can also play, I was just gonna say, instead of queen b6, you can do queen a5 and queen a6 too. I've seen that before.
Yeah, but I don't know if you feel comfortable playing the end game. Are you a queen's
They don't
man?
usually take it. They don't take it.
Are you a
They usually
queen's
play
man
c4.
or are you a queen's man or you like the end game?
As black, I'm trying to get to an end game with equal chances.
But I thought you were more like a queen's man of queens.
No, not particularly. I don't think I'm necessarily married to having
so this
queens or
plan,
anything.
queen a5, queen a6, if you want to trade queens, that's the way. Check and then queen a6. If the queen goes away, then he cannot castle. Maybe in the year 2051 he will castle, but otherwise, if he puts the queen away, he's going to be in the center. He will be stuck over there for a while, right? Then you can continue with c5, knight c6, the common development. If you want to trade queens, that's the way. If you want to fight with the queens, this is the way. Keeping the queens on the board. So knight e7, going to f5, knight c3, knight f5, bishop g5. As you can see now, the pawn is hanging, but it's very risky to take it. So black played, on this case, queen a6, which is fine. I mean, queen d1, but take a look at the queen on d1. The queen on d1 is absolutely passive. There is no plan with this for this queen in the future. There's no future for this queen. So c5, in this case, fighting for the center, knight e2, knight c6, c3, queen to b6. As you can see here, well, here white has the move c4. He didn't see this. He didn't see this move. This is the best move in this position because the black's king stays in the center, right?
Yeah.
But he played like this, a5. But if you feel comfortable trading queens and you like the end game, I think this is the way. Queen a5 check. And after c3 or bishop d2 or whatever, then queen a6. And this game is, after queen takes, knight takes, is fully equal. Then we can create a kind of minority attack on the queen side, right? Something like c5, c4, b5, b4, something like that. No. So
Yeah.
the light square bishop will be missed for white. On the other hand, black is fine because the whole pawn structure is placed on light squares, and this bishop, light square bishop, won't be missed, right? So
Yeah.
I
Coach, can you
think-
give me 1 more second? I have to use the bathroom. 1 second. Sorry.
Okay, go. Okay, we're done.
One second.
Okay, now you have
1
this. You have this study. You can check over there how to play this line as white, as black, sorry. And then we can start playing another game in the next lesson. What do you say about this line, just to review a bit? And then we can take a look at some other line on the Caro-Kann, mainly on the Tartak over when white castles long side. Okay?
Sure.
Okay,
Sounds
so
good,
remember, every time you have some time to share with me, then keep in touch, okay? And then we will
Okay.
figure out the best time for meeting, okay, buddy?